right, everybody. Welcome to the stream. So today we're going to look into updating one component of the application that we're working on into iOS 26. So, and as always, there is some echo because I'm here, I'm there, and then I was also on this other screen. But now we should be fine. And the good thing is, I heard that you can hear me, so that's great. So before we actually get started, why don't you just say hello, where you're from? You know, we've been doing this in the past couple of, in the beginning of this series of streams, and because there was so many hiccups in the past couple of streams, I always forgot to ask you where you're dialing in from, where you are on the planet today, and I'm always curious where you are, right? So I want to know where you are dialing in from, and to be honest, I want to see if we can somehow get a good coverage of the planet, right? I know it's unreasonable to expect that we will get someone from every single continent, but who knows? I don't know, like maybe somebody is like awake in the middle of the night and dialing in, trying to see what's going on. So why don't you just say hello and where you're dialing in from. We've got Francois from France. I'm going to say where I'm dialing in from. Hello, it's Peter from Hamburg, Germany. Also, if you like, you can try out the emoji reactions. All right, cool. So, it's been a busy couple of weeks. So this week is also pretty busy. Last week was pretty busy. The reason why I didn't do a live stream last week was I got a new machine, and actually I'm streaming from this new machine. It's a MacBook M4 Max with really nice memory and hard disk equipment, and it's really, really nice. So I'm loving this machine. However, if you're considering getting an M4 Max because you're hoping that the SwiftUI previews will be faster, unfortunately, not very much. I don't know if this is because I'm running Xcode beta and macOS beta, so hopefully things will improve once the final releases ship and we, they drop the debugging code and all the performance optimizations are in. But I have the impression that even for simple SwiftUI views, it's not amazingly snappy, but maybe I'm desensitized already. Who knows? Who knows? It's definitely, so if you're upgrading from an Intel-based Mac, obviously the difference will be like night and day. But I've upgraded from an M1 machine and the difference is not that noticeable. Hello, Lars. Good to see you virtually. I was at I/O Connect and I ran into a couple of people that are regulars on the stream, so that was super nice. I'm going to be in London this week for the Cloud Summit, and then I'm going to be in Bletchley Park over the weekend to give a talk about MCP servers. And it's quite funny. So, I submitted a talk for this MCP server talk, which is based on something that I did on the stream before, and then I was at Google I/O Connect in Berlin, and one of the organizers asked me, so we have this idea of having a multi-speaker keynote at the event. Would you be up for it? And you can't really say no. So it's going to be a 3-speaker keynote at Bletchley Park, and I am super excited. I've got a really nice idea for my part of the talk, which will cover Firebase AI. And so my little segment will be called From Code Breaking to Code Making. And I'm going to, try to craft the narrative going all the way from breaking the Enigma code until today, where we have those amazing AI models that we can talk with. And yeah, so really looking forward to it. But today, we're going to do something slightly different. So we've got another person dialing in from Slovenia. Hello, Heaven. Welcome to the stream. So let me switch over to the live view. And here we are. Let's make a little bit more space. Wait, too many windows. Okay, like this. All right, so this is today's newsletter. If you are not subscribed, I would encourage you to do so. Oops. Okay, here we go. Okay. So in this newsletter, there are a couple of things, and I think today we're going to use some of those things that I mentioned. This one here is something that I want to look into. It is an approach that helps you to use the new view modifiers that you can use in iOS 26 and still be able to use to deploy on iOS 18 without having to use lots of hashtag available checks, which is really nice. Obviously, it has an impact on how you can write your code. So for example, instead of being able to write .button style .glass, you'll have to use .backport .glass button style, which yeah, it's a bit unfortunate. So the migration path is not super straightforward, but I really like the idea. There is also another blog post that I found really interesting, and so this is about classifying toolbars in SwiftUI, and let's take a quick look at that. So it's from Majid, and what he did is he said, why don't we define, so you might remember last time on the stream we worked on updating the buttons. So in the application that I'm working on, there is a sheet, and on the sheet there are 2 buttons, just like this one for closing the sheet and another one for accepting and committing the sheet. And if you don't do anything, then you'll just see the label. So instead of having this nice X mark and the check mark, it will say cancel or done. And obviously, on iOS 26, we want to use those really nice buttons because that is what is preferred. So what Majid suggests is doing both, right? So he says, use the label and also use the system image. And then in order to make sure that you're not using the image on iOS 18 and below, we want to make sure that we actually use the text style label, right? And you might be wondering, okay, so toolbar, where's that coming from? That's not something that is built in, and obviously it's not. So what he did is he defined a new label style, which we can see here. And this label style performs the availability check. So if we are on iOS 26, it will use just a regular label using the configuration that we get from the label style. And if we are on a previous version of iOS, he will specify that we want to use the title only label style. And then we've got this convenience initializer here, right? And then the interesting thing, or what I found interesting, is that he adds this annotation here saying we're introducing this on iOS 18, but for iOS 26 it's obsolete, and you can even provide a message. And what happens is, if you compile this, the compiler will scream at you saying that this is obsolete, and then this is a nice signal for you to remove that part of the code when you deploy on iOS 26, which is a nice idea. So these are some of the things that I wanted to try out today. Let's see. And also we've got a name. How do you say name sibling? So Peter Hauke is on the stream. Hello to Dresden. All right, so let me get my my Xcode window over here. Can you guys tell me if this is easy to read or is it too dark? I mean, I'm happy to do light mode, but as long as you can see the text, it should be fine. So let's see. Okay, so I want to make sure that this compiles. This is the sample project for the chat API that I built. Hello back to Cologne. Can I preview this file? Okay, so this is, let's see, but does it compile? Let's run this. Okay, build succeeded. Oh yeah, and I see why we can't see the preview, no problem. Okay, so this is how the screen looks like, and you can tell from this bottom part here that this is still using the old design. So if I say hello, hit the enter key, and then we can see that in the background we get some streaming. And this is an iOS 26 simulator, so it should use the new design. We can just quickly have a look and see. Yeah, so you can see we've got the new liquidglass design. So simulator is running on the latest version of iOS, so it should do the right thing, but it's apparently not doing it. So let's see what we can do. And so I'm going to hide this, and then oh, and also we are in the wrong window apparently. Okay. So this is the code. So there are a couple of things that we need to work on. The first thing is we need to find a better name for the text input view. So how about we call it message composer view? So let's see how well refactoring works in, let me double check that we are in the right folder. So Command Shift J, show in Finder. Let me get the Finder window up here. We are in the workspace, in the live stream. Perfect. Great. So this is exactly where we need to be. Okay, let's refactor. Text input view. Let's use message composer view. All right. So this seemed to work. That's nice. Okay. So, and I want to make sure that we implement something that looks similar to the iMessage app. So here I mirror my phone. Let's go to dark mode. Is this better? I don't know. We'll switch back and forth. So I'm going to take a quick. Oh, I always want to click, but it doesn't work. Okay, so what we can do is I can't click. I need to use the keyboard. Okay, so I need to type something in. So I'm texting with myself. Hello. And then there are a couple of really interesting things. So one thing is if I tap the input field, it will breathe like this, and we can see depending where I click, it will show some sort of highlight. You can also see that the button also has this tint effect depending on where I tap. So if I tap at the front of the input field, it doesn't tint as much, but if I tap at the back, this highlight will tint the button, and the entire thing breathes. Okay, so now if I tap on the button, it will send the message, right? So today I just want to focus on the bottom part, on this input field. So let's pull this down, and then I'm going to take a screenshot of this. Okay, so here we are, and I'm going to save a screenshot on just the rectangular thing, and here we are. I'm going to drop this up here, and then I'm going to grab my simulator, and in the simulator I've got RocketSim, and RocketSim supports this overlay. So obviously this looks rubbish now, but if I do this, it will be nicer. And also I'm going to take the same screenshot in light mode. Okay, so let's go back to the Bezel app, and then device, save screenshot, save rectangular screenshot. Here we go. Save it here, go back into my simulator, drop this additional image, and now I can switch back and forth between those two different versions, making it easier for me to build my design. Okay, so, and actually, let's run the application and see how it looks like at the moment. Okay, so now I need to remove the dial down the opacity, and we can see that it looks very, very different, right? So we can see that down here I've got some sort of blur effect in the bottom. I've got this button here. I've got my text input field. And also, if I type something, okay, so this works. You can see that the text field grows. But also you can see that apparently I made a mistake with the alignment, because this button here doesn't align at the bottom of this entire group here. So that's all not perfect. So let's see what we can do. Okay, so we need to go into our message composer view, and okay, so let's first remove all the dead code, like this, and also let's see if we can get a preview to help us a little bit out. Okay, nice. Oops, like that. Okay, here we go. So we can see that we've got this input field here. All right, so let's begin. And what I want to do is, instead of having just the text field and the send button, I want to have another button as well. So this plus button that I can use on the iMessage app to attach stuff. So we've got a button, and now I want to give the button a title and a system image. Maybe add and then the system image. Oops, hello. What happened? A system image, and that should probably be a plus button. Also, this is a little bit uncalled for. Okay, so this should be nice. Okay. Let's search for the plus icon. And the interesting thing is that there are so many plus icons, but the one that we're looking for is kind of hidden. Here we go, plus. There we go. Okay, right. So, still not showing like we expect it should be showing. Let's look at using a button style, and let's see what happens if you use the glass button style. And it says it's only available in iOS 26 or newer, right? So my approach now is, so we're not using any of the approaches that I showed you in the blog post for now, but let's use what you might typically use, right? So it says it's only available in iOS 26 or newer, and then it suggests adding an availability check. So we're going to do that. And now we can see that we've got this elliptical button here with the plus icon and the add text. So I actually don't want the add text, so let me remove this and see what happens. Missing argument. Okay, so we'll try that, which looks rubbish because now the plus icon is not centered. Okay, so we'll put this back, and then we'll just say, what did he use? Label style, right? Label style dot icon only. Let's see if that works. Okay, so this works, but it's a pill. And if we look at our preview, we can see that it's round, right? So let's see what we can do to make it round. How about adding a padding? Nope. How about we use a different style of button or a different way to construct the button? Like this. So we've got this other constructor here where we can provide the action up here, and then we've got the label inside. And now we're going to use an image, system image plus. All right. And, oops, sorry. Sorry, what did I do? Oh no, it's. Am I in the right file? No, I'm not. Okay. Okay, so how about this? And now we should be able to add a padding. Here we go. All right, so this padding also doesn't look really nice, but how about we use a vertical padding only. Okay, let's see how this looks like. It's somewhat roundish, but not really round. So let's keep it like that for a moment. And let's see where we get this. Okay, so I'm going to remove this. And now let's get the text field and move it in here as well. And then we'll move this button in here as well. And you can see that we're using two different types of mechanisms to resize the buttons, right? So for example, or the stuff that's on the buttons. So for example, this one here, we use a font to determine the size of the button, which is nice if you put a button into something else that is text, but and that's probably the reason why I did it in the first place, because there's a text field next to it. But this doesn't feel right. And also doing this where you saw that I was kind of like playing around and trying to figure out what is the correct padding. So this it's not great. So let's actually see what we should be doing. So DC 2025, and I'm looking for Frank's presentation. So I think it was called SwiftUI New Design or something like that. Yeah, I'm looking for this one here. Okay. And I'm going to turn down the volume. So, so he talks about toolbars, which are very, they've changed a lot in iOS 26. He also talks about how to implement the new search bar. And then I think the place that we probably need is controls. So let's see what we're covering. Okay, so first of all, we cover those buttons here, and then capsule buttons. And okay, so here we go. So there are a couple of interesting view modifiers. So for example, control size, right? Let's see if control size is what helps us. So I'm gonna remove that. Hello, Franklin. Greetings to Uganda. So control size. And now we've got those different types of control sizes that we can use. Let's try large. Okay. Well, okay. So we've got that, which still looks unexpected because it's still pill-shaped. Maybe we do need to add padding after all. I don't know. I don't know. See, that's the thing with the new controls. Everything is pill-shaped. So, for example, if we look here, right? So those button styles are pill-shaped. These are pill-shaped. Everything is pill-shaped. Okay. So I'm going to cheat, and I'm going to look at the code that I implemented earlier. And then we'll figure out what I did. So let me go to the prep folder, go into the sources, open with code. message composer view. So what did I do? Okay. Okay. There is another thing that we can do. Let's go back into the video, and then let's search for shape. I think that's it. Concentric rectangle shape, button border shape. Here we go. Button border shape dot capsule, right? So let's see if we can use this to our advantage. Dot button border shape dot circle. Ta-da! I want to use the emoji. Ta-da-da-da-da! All right. Cool. So, and let me see. This looks reasonably nice, right? So, although this is a little bit unexpected, right? So I would have expected that tapping on the thing doesn't turn it into a capsule. So maybe if we put this in a different order, nope. Nope. Well, maybe it doesn't have to do with the order of things. So which order did I do it in? Button border shape, control size, and button style. Okay, let's try it this way. Button border shape, circle, control size large, and button style glass. Nope. Okay. All right. So let's see. Maybe that is how it behaves. Let's go back and have a look at what happens on the device. Okay. So if I tap on the plus button, you can see that it does indeed grow, and I'm not entirely sure if this is a pill shape. It still stays roughly circle shape, but okay. So let's assume that we're kind of doing the right thing here. Okay, so that's okay. We've got this button, and let's actually apply the same styling on this other button back there. So now we see that using this round icon here might not have been such a great idea, or is not such a great idea anymore. So arrow.up.circle.fill. So we no longer need circle, and I think .fill is also no longer necessary. And now we can also remove the .font thing. And okay, so this is looking better. But if you look back at the native app, the app on the phone, if I go here and I type something, you can see that the button is actually blue, so it's prominent. And there is another modifier that allows us to turn this into glass prominent. Ta-da! So we spent so much time making sure that this button here is round, but now if we look at this UI, we can see that the button for sending is actually not round, but it's pill-shaped. Here we go, right? So, okay, so I think we now know how to do that. So I'm just going to remove that. So this is now in a different size. And let's add some text here. Do I have the lorem ipsum? Okay, generate words. I want to have 6 words of lorem ipsum. What? No. Okay. I mean, we should do it the correct way. Like this. Okay, here we go. Nice. Okay. But we still, so what I want to do is I want to figure out how far the text input field actually extends. So adding some dummy text doesn't really help. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a border dot red. So here we go. See, so the text input field actually only extends to the left edge of the button, but I think we somehow need to, and let's look back at the app. It's hard to see. Let's switch to dark mode. Yeah, it's easier to see now. Okay, so you can see that we've got this this frame around here, which goes all the way around, and it includes the text input field and this button here. Okay, so let's see if there is a, first of all, we probably need to, so I want to see if there is a way to somehow add, a rounded rectangle around the text field. And obviously there is a way to do that. So rounded border, and now the border is actually getting in our way. So I don't know, is that what we're looking for? It doesn't look like what we see on the phone, because on the phone, and let's go back to light mode, on the phone, hello, on the phone, it is pill-shaped, and here in the simulator it's not pill-shaped, right? So, but maybe there is a way to get it to that. So border shape, no. If anybody has any suggestions or ideas, please fire away. Let's see what Frank says in the video. So let's, it's quite interesting. Don't they have the code? Or they used to have code, right? So where is it? There is no, is it because I'm not signed in? Could that be it? Okay, let me try going into the same video in a different tab, and then sign into my developer account off screen. One password, get my password, Apple ID, sign in, and then, okay. Okay, I need the URL. Huh, interesting. So, so I'm signed into my developer account here, but there is no code. Interesting. So maybe this video doesn't have any code. Anyways, so is this the right video still? Yeah, it is. There's Frank. Okay. Okay, so control size small, minimum value labels. Okay. Okay, let's look into the transcript and let's look for shape again. Let's see if there is anything that might help. Border buttons now have a capsule shape by default. Button border shape modifier. To build views that automatically maintain concentricity with their container. Okay, so this rings a bell. So, and this looks like it might be something that we might be able to use. However, I seem to remember that this modifier is not available. Let's give it a try. In rect. And just before, I seem to remember that they were talking about something that might be useful as well. Okay. Button border shape, container shape. Content shape. Ooh, what's this? Okay, nothing is happening. What happens if we turn this off? Nothing. What does container shape do? Oh, it's been around since iOS 15. Sets the container shape for use to any relative shape within this view. Not sure this is what we're looking for. But to get to my point, so I think let's go into where is it? Okay, here we go. Dot background, dot tint. Okay. Dot background, dot tint. In dot rect corner colon dot dot container concentric. Like this, right? But this doesn't exist. So maybe I typed it wrong. Oh yeah, maybe I did. Nope. Dot tint in dot rect corner colon dot container concentric. So this doesn't exist, right? And I seem to recall that there is even a conversation somewhere on the developer forums. Let's see if we can quickly find it. Hello. Apple developer forums. Container concentric. iOS 26. Here we go. Availability of corner and container concentric. According to this video, in iOS 26, there should be a container concentric configuration that can be passed to the corner parameter of a rectangle. And then the answer by a frameworks engineer is, these APIs aren't available in the first beta release. And then somebody said, looks like the second beta doesn't have them either, which is right. I'm on the second beta, so they're not around here. And to be honest, as a person who creates content, I'm always so amazed by the amount of content that Apple publishes around WWDC. And apparently, I always wonder, how can they possibly push out so much content and make sure that it works with the code and the code is up to date and the content is up to date? Well, here we go. They need to make assumptions, and sometimes stuff doesn't ship. So the videos are kind of like ahead of the curve, and who knows, maybe this will land in the next beta in a couple of days, maybe today, who knows. But, or maybe they will completely change the API, but it is what it is. Sometimes we see stuff in the videos that we can't use yet. Good. Or, well, not so good. But let's see if we can find a different solution, right? So the rounded border text style apparently is not what we wanted. So what I'm going to do is oh well, here's an idea. Okay, so dot class effect. Well, okay. How about this? All right, so do you see that? Let's remove this. So now, if I add the glass effect, I will get a pill, right? And that is similar to what we want to achieve. Let's look at the phone, right? So we've got this pill shape around the text input field and the button. We're kind of getting there. So how about we wrap this into another H stack. H stack. Put this in here. And we will put the glass effect on the H stack. Okay, so this is not too bad. So we probably need a little bit of padding. So okay, all right, so this is slightly better. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add input 1, input 1, can't we do it this way? I think it works. Okay. So let's do this. So I'm going to have 2 inputs, and one is going to be shorter, like this, right? So this is already getting there. Okay. I heard a chime. Did somebody do something? Probably somebody tapped on the amazing button. Okay, nice. So, but we need to optimize this a little bit. So, first of all, let's look back at this. So if we compare this, you can see that the button is much smaller. So we can probably say, well, it's not large, but how about regular? This looks quite nice, right? So it seems like the button is probably the right size. So we now need to work on somehow getting this into the right shape form. Okay. Let's remove the border for now. And I think we probably need some padding on the button. Dot padding dot horizontal. Ooh. Okay. How about 2? No. 4. 8. That's too. Well, how is that? Let's see. It's not too bad, I think. I think we can probably leave it like that. But it seems like the padding around the text field needs to be smaller, right? So, and this is, yeah, look at that. Okay, so this padding is too much. So we need vertical padding of, okay. So we need different types of padding here. Let's see if vertical padding of 6, 8, 10. This looks okay. And we need leading padding. Okay, so this is the text field itself, right? Because all the other modifiers are basically just adding to that, right? So for example, if I do it like that, we can see how much padding I added to the leading edge. This is how much padding I added to the vertical, and this shouldn't make a difference because it's just the onSubmit button. So it is this, right? And then let's also add a border to the button. And red is maybe not such a good idea. Oh, it is. Okay. Here we have the padding. Okay. Oh, and then the stack also has spacing, right? Spacing. Oh, so spacing. Yeah, spacing is just in the H orientation, right? So for example, if you remove all the spacing, yeah, there you go. Okay. But maybe we'll just, let's leave the spacing for now. I think it's okay. I think it's okay. Okay. Okay, so what I want to see is what happens if I add more text into this input field on the phone. Okay. So you can see that now instead of being a pill, it is probably a squircle, right? Not really a squircle, but more like a rounded rectangle. So let's see how we can achieve that. So let's take a look at the glass effect. Okay, right, so we've got the shape. We can specify the shape, so maybe that is something that we can work on. And also something else. So if I tap here, it's not interactive. That's also something that we want to change. So dot regular dot interactive. This will allow the thing to breathe, right? So like that. And then so what do we have? We want a rounded rectangle. So, okay, so now we have a rectangle. Corner radius should be fine. Let's see. Let's try 8. Nope. Okay, so the corner radius needs to be, and let me just make this larger. Okay, this is nicer. So the nope, not this. Mini map. Boom. I don't need the mini map. So the corner radius needs to be such a way that this turns into a pill for the one line thing. So we need to make it larger. So let's try 20. Ooh, that looks really nice. What about 26? That seems to be a little bit much if we compare it. Light mode, please. Okay. Yeah, it's not that round, so 20 seems to be fine, I think, right? Okay, and now let's make this a little bit smaller. Okay. So what we also need to do is put this button more towards the bottom. So on the H tag, we need to use alignment.bottom. And now okay, so we need to move it off of the bottom a little bit more. Dot padding, dot bottom, dot 4. Nope, that's too much. 5. Okay, how is that? And now so if I zoom in, so it's, you can't see it on the stream, but I'm zooming in and I can see that the roundedness of this button here does not exactly follow the roundedness of this. At least that's what it kind of does. Okay, so I don't know, you know, we really need this container concentric thing there, but it's not available, so we can't use it at the moment. So we'll have to make do. Okay. I mean, I'm mildly happy. I'm not super happy, but mildly happy. Oh, that is probably not what they intended. Well, okay. Okay, let's see. So another thing that we also need to fix is we've got this background here, and that is not what we should be doing. So we should remove that thin material here. like this. Okay. Okay, so now let's go into the conversation view and have a look at how this looks like in place. Okay, this is not too bad. Okay, well, I mean, keyboard handling in the simulator or in the preview is notoriously bad. So what we're going to do is I'm going to run this application again. And reduce the opacity. Here we go. This actually is quite nice. Do you see that amazing reflection and diffraction effect on the input field or on the rectangle around it? So that is really, really nice. I saw somebody say hi from Brazil. Hello back to Brazil. Great to have you on the stream. Hello from Germany. My name is Peter. Okay, so this really looks quite nice. Okay. Yeah, I think this is really getting there. Okay, so, but if we use our background, and does this look better if we use the, yeah, it's not helping. The dark one is the right one to use. So if I reduce the opacity to take a look at the screenshot I took earlier, we can see that the, our input field is not in the right position. So it's too high and we probably need to move it down a little bit. So let's see. What's the problem here? Let's go back into our composer. And so it has horizontal padding. So maybe stop. The horizontal padding is good. The vertical padding is what we don't need. Okay, so here's our scroll view. Here's our message composer. Let's see, so this is a C stack, it's aligned at the bottom. This spacer is pushing it down. So if we remove that, oh, that's just for, okay, I think this is just to make sure that the content is moved up a little bit. Is that what we need? Yeah, there you go. Okay, and 50 probably is, you know, it's going to be fine in the end. Is there anything else that keeps this from... So we probably need to say that we want to go into the save area, right? So let's try that. I always forget what's the correct way to do this. Save it. Okay, so maybe we can do that. Save area. Yeah, I thought it was padding, Peter, but I think it's not. So let's see. Okay, no save area padding, but I want to have save area bar at dot bottom, and then use this, and then move the whole thing into the bar. How? what's this? Well, we are on iOS 26. No, that's no. At least I think that's not quite right yet. Let's run it. Oh, okay, maybe I'm blind. Let me first try this, Peter, and then I'm going to see if I can find what you're referring to. Okay, so here is our app, and it's still not good enough, right? Okay, we still need to push further down. So let me double check what Peter is referring to. Okay. Let's find all the paddings. So it's not here. Maybe. Ooh, you're actually right. So okay, so let's remove the dot bottom. And then let's double check. I should also refresh the canvas. Okay, this might be it. Okay, let's see. Ooh, yeah, we're getting there. Look at that. See, we're really, really close. Okay, I think. Okay, so this way is the original screenshot. This is us, and let me make this larger. You can't see it. Well, if I make it larger, it's hard for you to see it. Yeah, so it looks like it's going to be it's a couple of pixels there, right? So let's see if there is. So as much as I would like this the save area bar, we'll probably have to do it in a different way. So first of all, let's move this back, because maybe we don't need to use the save area bar after all. Formatting failed. Well. Oh. Okay. I need to remove this. I need to remove this. No, we're still missing something. Maybe I can just undo this. Yeah. Okay, so now it should be fine. So let's run this again. See, we didn't even need to use the save area thing. Okay, nice. So I'm okay with that. So now what we want to do is see what happens if we run it on another simulator. So this is an iOS 16 Pro, and it runs iOS 26. But what happens if we run this on iOS 18? So Let's say deployment target is iOS 18.0. And then let's see, do I have, yeah, here we go. So I have another simulator set up. So let's run this on this iOS 18 simulator, and which you can't see because it's somewhere else. I'm going to bring it up. Okay. So I'm guessing for those of you who've paid close attention, you were kind of expecting this, because what happened is I completely, what do you say? I completely cannibalized my implementation. And on iOS 18, we use this part of the code here where it says fallback on earlier versions. Okay, there is no earlier version. So I'm going to grab that earlier version from my other editor here. And then we're going to run this again. So this is the previous code. And nothing's happening. Sometimes you just got to be patient. Hello. There we go. Right, here we go. Hello? Okay. Ooh, that's interesting. Oh, it also uses a different font. Why not? I have no idea why that is. Okay, and so this missing tint is because of that. So let's take a look again. See, this is what I mean with even on an M4, this is not amazing performance. But to be honest, I think that is due to the simulator. Okay. Oh, and also, do you see that? You know, we've got two different kinds of material here because it is double layered. So I'll probably have to do it like that. So one more try. Oh. Yeah. Okay. Also, it seems like this part here, you know, these three lines actually seem to be the same lines here. So they are actually duplicate here. Oh yeah. So, and what I really should do, so so this availability check should also include the H stack, I think, right? Because that H stack where is the editing? Why is there no search bar? Display code folding ribbon. That's what I was looking for. Okay, so let's collapse that. So this is the entire thing. And this padding here, all those modifiers we should only use on the iOS 18 stuff, which apparently, I mean, we should. Yeah, so let's, okay, I'm going to move this in here. Then we're going to add another one here, then this one here, and then remove all of these there. Do this, rebalance, and then let's see if this works. Felt a little bit hacky. Build succeeded. And 3, 2, 1. No, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come on. Well, the machine is not overly busy, I would say. So this is clearly the simulator doing its thing of whatever it's doing. Yep. Okay, so this is looking good, right? So the material extends to the edges. Hello, yeah, this works. And now let's run this on the other simulator again to see if this still looks beautiful on iOS 26. It does. Yeah, this looks really nice, I think. Yeah, okay. I love it. So there is one more thing. I know that we've been going on for quite a while now, but there is one more thing that I want to try out. And let's see if we can find it. So I'm looking for the part where, yeah, this one. So the glass sampling, right? So here Frank explains that if you have two glass things that sit next to each other, they should somehow merge into each other, right? So let's actually watch this because it's such a pleasing effect. Hey, Michaela, great to see you. How's it going? So, here we've got this. Let's play it again. Glass sampling effect. No, here. Okay, here we go. Right where those two things morph together. And it seems like what we want to do, or why it doesn't work in our app, let's take a look at that. So if I do that, if I press here, or maybe it does work. I don't know. What do you think? Does it morph into this? Not really. Maybe it's because they're too close. I have no idea what this new XP thing for watching the stream is, but I think I like it. Moin from Othmarschen, Matthias Bachmann, ja Mensch. Yeah, I don't know, people. What do you think? Is this if only Frank were on the stream, he would know, or he would have the authoritative answer, right? Because he did the video. But is this, is this close enough? Let's take a look at the phone, right? So if I tap the button, do you see that? It's so hard to see. Where it seems like it's really, floating into this other element. So what happens if I press the, well, it's very similar to what we've achieved, right? So if I press the button, you can see that it touches the text element. And if I press the text element, it doesn't quite touch the button. Do you see that? Okay, so I think we're pretty close to that actually. Okay, and let's enter a couple of lines of text here. Yeah. So, and that, okay, so this is another thing, right? So, and I think that is an actual bug. So when I tap the area when it's larger, I think what it should be doing is it should not display a pill like that. Do you see that? So we've got a pill shape showing the highlight here, but instead it should use the rounded rectangle. So let me show you the code, and then I think it should show the correct shape. So we've got our haystack here, and then I say I want to have a glass effect on it, regular interactive in this rectangle with a corner radius. Okay, let me read what Michaela says. It does, but it's super subtle and may be hard to see in the simulator. I noticed it on the beta on iOS on my actual phone. Okay, I should be able to run this on that phone because that phone actually is on iOS 26. Let's do it. I mean, it's still hard to see. Still very hard to see. We'll have a look, and then okay, here we go. Well, wow, this was fast. Okay, I'm going to put this in the background so we can see it better. Well, it does kind of touch it very subtly. It doesn't do it when we're here, so maybe it's still like we still need to optimize. I think a lot of those things are I'm in two minds. On the one hand, on the one side, I could go on and optimize this and make it look much more like what we see in the iMessage app. But on the other hand, I'm like, well, maybe in the next beta that will drop in a couple of days, or maybe even today, maybe this is fixed, right? Because maybe they're still optimizing, and is it worth for me to go in and try to, optimize the shit out of this thing, or should I just be relaxed and just try it again in the next beta? I think I'll try it again in the next beta, so there's, I think, one more thing that I wanted to do, and that is if you if you are in this chat UI and then you scroll, it pushes the keyboard down. And I think I'd rather have this effect where you actually need to push into the text element, right? So for example, if I'm, you can't see it, sorry. Okay, so if I'm in the iMessage app and I scroll here, the keyboard will not go away. But if I push down and now my finger touches the input element, and now the keyboard is pushed away. And that, I think, we can achieve. Scroll dismisses keyboard, and instead of using immediately, we're going to use .interactively, and let's run this again also on the device, and see if it does what I expect it should. All right. I did press the run button, didn't I? Let's do it again. Okay, it's running on the phone. Here we go. Let's call up the keyboard. Hello. And now if I scroll, it will not be dismissed, but if I scroll and touch the keyboard, it scrolls down. Are you signed into an Apple developer account on a simulator? I might. Why? Let's see. Where are the settings? Nope, I'm not. But do you think it will have an impact on on the layout? I mean, it does have an impact on all sorts of things, but hopefully it shouldn't have an impact on the rendering of our UI. But I'm guessing you're referring to something that I'm not understanding yet. Okay, so let's do, so we've got 11 people watching. That's nice. So I think we can do one more thing and then I'll wrap it up. So let's actually use this component because it is a reusable component and the application that we're running on is, oh yeah, because you saw my name. Good point. Michaela, that is because I'm using the Bezel app. So this is my actual phone here. So this is it's an iPhone 13 that I use for development purposes, and this is actually signed into to my test account. So that is why you see my avatar up there. Is that what you're referring to? I think so. Okay, so let's create a new app file. New project. We need an iOS app, and let's call it AI Chat Demo. And let's put it into, so this was the prep version. Let's put it into our examples folder here. Create. And now I want to active scheme. Well, sometimes Xcode is really funny. So to not confuse ourselves, I'm just going to close this window here. Stop tasks. Okay, nice. So first of all, what we need is we need to add our component to our application. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to go to the folder that contains our package, add this, and it's a local package because I have pushed it to GitHub, but into a private repository, but for this one, we're still in development mode. I want to use the local package. So now Conversation Kit has been added to my application, and we can verify that we're actually using the correct version by going into our message composer view, and we should see all our changes that we made in the past couple of minutes. And yeah, here they are. So let's take okay. I wanted to say, let's take this thing and just copy it over, because in a version of this library I had auto-generated documentation for it, but apparently not. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to just copy this thing here, because I don't really trust Xcode to, well, we can try. Let's try. So go into the content view, and then let's import this thing. Import conversation kit. And then let's go into the AI feature. Let's use Gemini Pro. Please use the Conversation Kit SDK that is linked to this application and use it to build a chat UI. And I need to take a sip of water. Hey Ashkan, how's it going? So, first of all, the model needs to discover how our project looks like. Oh, it's hard to see for you. This should be better. So what it did is it started discovering our project structure, and we've got it discovered. Well, it searched for conversation view and conversation, and it did discover conversation view and AI chat demo app. And then it tried to look for more stuff. It searched for message compose view, and now it says I have everything that I need. And it generated some code. So let's see if this is actually what we need. I have doubts. So this is the correct view. It did use the correct view. And all right. Well, this is looking good, actually. Let's run it. Okay. I don't know why I thought is not working. All right, let's run it on the phone. Yeah, let's do it. Okay. Okay. Where is our... Here we go. So this is the application running on the phone. And once I get my keyboard, I can hopefully start typing. Yep, and we get an immediate response there. Nice. So let's go back to our browser. And now in my newsletter, I also mentioned a couple of AI blog posts. And one of them is this one that Rudrang wrote, or it's not a blog post, it's a repository. So Rudrang wrote this really amazing repository where he covers like all the different use cases and ways to use Apple's foundation models. And let's try to use this. So I'm going to copy this code here, and then let's go back into Xcode. Get this out of the way, and I'm going to make this easier for me because now we don't need the navigation bar any longer. So in the content view, yeah, so anyone who joined the session late, this is auto-recorded, so you'll be able to watch the entire thing on my channel after the stream has finished. So yeah, definitely. And you can also watch all the previous live streams, which I totally recommend. Okay, so first of all, we need to import the thing, right? So, and I'm a lazy person, so let's search what. Why? This should show me how this is imported. You can't do that if you're not signed in. That is weird. Okay, so I'm going to get a signed in window. Yeah. Oh, that's really surprising. Would you have thought that GitHub only allows you to search within a repository if you're signed in? Well, I mean, it kind of makes sense, right? Because they want to be sure that only people who pay for the service also, can use it. So here we go. We need to import foundation models, of course. Import foundation models. So this works fine now. And then we need to take this and go down to the response. And instead of saying you, sorry for that. Instead of saying you said so-and-so, we're going to call the model. Okay. Response is try await, and we will probably have to wrap this in a do catch block, and I want to respond to content. Try await, we don't need that, and then catch. Wait. This needs to go here. Okay, I see people are discussing legal implications of using generated code, and as always, Matthias is right. As always, it depends, and I would add to that, I am not a lawyer, and we're always told to not give any legal advice, and the only advice that I can give is whenever somebody asks me, hey, is so-and-so the case, and the only thing I can say is, you need to talk to your lawyers in order to figure out what is the correct way, because as you mentioned, the situation in Canada might be a completely different one than the one in the United States, right? They're next to each other, but might be completely different situations. I have no idea. So unfortunately, it's not the answer that you were hoping for, but unfortunately that's what it is. So I need to move this down here. Message, content, and then response text, probably. Let's do it this way. Okay, so our response text is empty, or we can just say it's a string, and then response text equals try await session dot respond to content. No, so it needs to be this way. Let response equals blah, and now we can say does that make sense? Nope. It got confused because response.content is what we need, right? So, and response.content is a content object. Interesting. Is that a string? Let's take a look at the repository. So try await session.respond, and then response.content. Okay, should be fine. Let's try. Response text equals response.content, and otherwise we'll just say response texts. I don't understand that. Please try again, and then error.localize description. Okay, so now what's going on here? Oh yeah, I know why. So we need to wrap this in a task. So build succeeded. Oh, okay. So it's I'm running this on the phone again, but as it is an iPhone 13, it doesn't support Apple Intelligence. So, yep. And the error message says foundation model is language model error 1, which probably means something like, sorry, you need to get a newer phone. So instead of doing that, we will run this on my simulator, which should have Apple Intelligence enabled. iOS 26. Tell me a joke about peanuts in a bar. Ooh. Okay. Unsafe content. I don't know. I don't know. Why are peanuts unsafe content? Oh, a bar. Tell me a joke about peanuts. Okay. Why did the peanut go to school? Because it wanted to be a little smarter shelled. Sometimes I wonder if my English is just not good enough, or the jokes are not that good. Tell me a joke about peanuts in a bar. Yep, that's so funny because and actually it's a really good joke. So let me see if I can find it. Joke about peanuts in a bar. Yeah, okay, so I found it. I'm going to read it to you. A man walked into a bar and sat down and ordered a beer. As he sipped the beer, he heard a soothing voice say, "Nice tie." Looking around, he noticed that the bar was empty except for himself and the bartender at the end of the bar. A few sips later, the voice said, "Beautiful shirt." At this, the man called the bartender over. "Hey, I must be losing my mind," he told the bartender. "I keep hearing those voices saying nice things, and there is not a soul in here but us." "Well," answered the bartender, "it's the peanuts." "Say what?" said the man. "You heard me," said the barkeeper. "It's the peanuts. They're complimentary." But apparently, the sheer mentioning of a bar where you might be able to get alcohol is considered not safe for the model. Okay, so that's that. And while we're here and you all are still with me, let's do one more thing. We always need to do one more thing. So first of all, I'm going to copy this entire thing here, and then I'm going to create a new file from clipboard, content view 2, and let's, it's redeclare. So let's do the same thing with Firebase. Firebase AI Logic. Logic chat view. Put this here. Put this here. Do you like peanut jokes, Michaela? I do. Okay. All right, so I mean, why do I even have those headers in here? They're just eating up space. So we've got a duplicate view, and now let's go in here and then tell the model to do its thing. Open coding tools. Can you please add a tab group and add the Firebase AI Logic view as a second tab? Bam. And while we're waiting for the result to come in, I'm going to pull in Proxyman, because in the background you can see that we still have to proxy through in order to use the correct endpoint on the Gemini models, because the way how the URL is constructed is slightly different. But the cool thing is, where is my hello? Maybe I need to do it where I've got more place. No? What's this? Here we go. Okay, so the cool thing is that we can inspect our request and response pairs. So for this last request, we can see that the body where the query is says something along the lines of, "You are a coding assistant with access to tools, specializing in analyzing code bases. Below is the content of the file the user is working on." And then once we scroll down, so these are the system instructions. And then this part here, it says, "The user is currently inside this file, AI chat demo app.swift," and that is our application, our main application thing. And you can see that it's all the code that we've got in our workspace. And the user has asked, "Can you please add a tab group to add the Firebase AI Logic chat view as a second tab?" And then the model says, "Of course I can do that. I need to know a little bit more about this other view there. Let me search for it." And then The user has no code selected. Your search results are provided below, and you can see that it sends in this Firebase AI Logic chat view that we created so that the model can now understand that. Here you can see which model we're using, Gemini 2.5 Pro. And then here on the right-hand side where you can see the response, we can see the response as a body, and you can see that we get all those data chunks here because the model streams the answer back to us. But we can also go in and say, show this as server-sent events, which renders this nicely as this kind of JSON structure. And with the most recent update, Proxyman added a feature for OpenAI support. And instead of seeing the little chunks that make up our stream, we can see the end result because Proxyman has accumulated all those little chunks for us, right? And we can see that here is the answer, and we get our code basically just as a fenced markdown block. So this is pretty nice and quite enlightening to see what's going on behind the scenes. And it's, as you can see, it's not magic or black magic. It's just regular back and forth between the model and the agent, which is Xcode in this case. So going back to Xcode, we can see this code. Nice. And this looks good. So what I want to do now is let me get back into my browser, and let's go to the Firebase console. And I already set up a project. So this is a very basic Firebase project. All I did was create the project. And as I was experimenting with what I wanted to show you today, I already added an iOS project with this bundle identifier. So let's see if this matches what we've got here. So in order to connect an iOS application to Firebase, you need to do the following. So you need to go into your application, select your target, and then get your bundle identifier. So here it says dev.peterfreeze.ai chat demo. Let's double check that it is the same. dev.peterfreeze.ai chat demo. So we can use that. And then I'm going to go in, and then I'm going to download Google Services info.plist file, which is a plist file that connects my application to the Firebase project. So I can just grab it here and then drag it over into Xcode and just place it into the same group that contains the assets catalog, like this. And what's really important is to make sure that there are no numbers in the name of the plist file like that. That's one thing. And then the next thing is we need to see the SDK instructions, because they tell us after you downloaded the plist file, you also need to add the Firebase SDK. So we copy the GitHub URL. Let's take a quick look at GitHub. This is the Firebase SDK for iOS, and it contains a bunch of instructions for anybody who's interested in contributing to the SDK, because the SDK is open source. So if you ever run into an issue, what you can do is you can go in and see if anybody else has already run into the same issue and then provide more context, for example. Or you can open a new issue, or if you realize, somebody has already raised this, but nobody seems to have taken notice, then you can ping us and say, is anybody working on this? Or if you want to work on it, you can say, well, I've got time, I can work on this. We're always happy to take contributions. Okay, so I've got the URL, and then go back to my project and add this as a dependency like that, add package. And while we're waiting, Michaela, the tool that I use to speak into my computer is called Super Whisper, and it's pretty cool. I can show you in a second what you can do with it. Here we go. Okay, so Firebase AI, that's what we need. Select AI chat demo, add this as a package, or add the Firebase SDK to our package. And so that should be that. Okay. Okay, so now let's see what else we need to do. Okay, next step, we added this, and now we need to initialize Firebase. So go in here. We need an initializer. We also need to import Firebase first. Import Firebase, and then Firebase app.configure, and that should be it. And now we can start using Firebase. So go in here. We'll remove that and instead import Firebase AI. And also, because I did mention that I'm a lazy person, right? So we can go in and go into the Firebase AI Logic part in the Firebase console, and then see if we can quickly get to the documentation. So here is our application that we registered, and then here it says view SDK instructions. Let's try that. Here we go. So here are all the instructions for all the other languages we support: Swift, Kotlin, Java, Web, Dart, Unity, but Swift is what we need. And here we have the code that we need to set up the model. So I've already imported this. We can remove this session here because we're not using the foundation models, but instead we use Firebase. And now let model equals okay, so we get so this is the code I copied from the documentation. We first get an instance of Firebase AI. We specify that we want to use the Google AI backend, and we specify which model we want to use, and then I'll return that model. We initialize the model, and then instead of calling Apple's model, we'll call Google's model, model.generateContent. And so this method signature sounds a little, or looks a little bit more complicated, and the reason is because you can pass in any kind of content, right? So it can be text, it can be images, it can be text and images, and that is why we have those parts representables, and that makes it easy to to pass in those different types. But we just want to pass in, well, content was actually correct. Content. Extraneous, remove prompt. Okay. And then on the response, we do have candidates, but the first candidate is delivered in text, so we can do that. Or say, well, sorry, nothing was there. And that should be it. Okay. Let's run this on our iPhone. Oh yeah, and then what's happening? We should also ask it to give a programming joke. Okay, so we've got on device, which uses Apple's foundation models, and we've got Firebase AI, which uses Firebase. Okay, let's see if we can enter text here using Super Whisper. Can you please tell me a programmer joke? See, that's the problem. So it doesn't really work well with the simulator. So we'll do it this way. Can you please give me a programmer joke? Okay, so get it from here, go back into the simulator. Well, it's a bit stupid, really. What is happening? Is something? Okay. Okay. It gave us an entire application for generating jokes. So that's why it took such a long time. Oh yeah. I mean, the prompt is that way. Can you please give me a program of joke? Well, let's try something different. Tell me a joke. So hopefully that is faster, right? So, yeah, and this scarecrow joke, that is also a typical AI joke. You know, so many models give you the scarecrow joke. Let's try that. Tell me a joke. Why don't scientists trust atoms? Because they make up everything, and that's the other typical AI joke. Yeah, so there you have it. So we were able to talk to two different models. One of them is on device, and the other one is a cloud-based model. Our application has a nice glass look and feel. Oh, what's happening here? Is that another bug? Do you see that? When I switch the simulator between light and dark mode, the tab bar does not reflect that. Okay, let's run the application again. Yep, okay, so now the tab bar is light, now it's dark. Oh, interesting. Yeah, because why should you have a bug that is easy when you can have a bug that's slightly more complicated? Anyways. Yeah, I found that liquid glass does have all sorts of interesting bugs. Absolutely. All right, folks. So let's double check. I think we've been going for a really long time now. But yeah, thanks for sticking around. I really appreciate it. And I'm really pleased with what we've been able to achieve today. If you want to do one last nice thing, leave a thumbs up on this video. If you want, leave any comments as to what you want me to cover next. Streaming might be something that is obvious that we also should take a look at. And yeah, as I mentioned on the newsletter, so one final plug for the newsletter. I will be out starting tomorrow. So actually, I'm flying to London tomorrow. I'll be in London and Bletchley Park for for most of the rest of the week and into next week. So probably no live stream next week, but maybe the week after. Yeah, thanks everybody for watching. It was great fun. Enjoy the rest of your day wherever you've joined from, and I'll see you again next time.